So I'm talking with Dr. Moore-Ede. He is a light doctor, and we're going to talk about are the lights in your house, are they killing you?
Welcome to the Jennifer J. Hammond Podcast. Jennifer is a licensed realtor, educator, speaker, and best-selling author. Jennifer's goal is to help you find your yay in every day.
Hello. This is Jennifer J. Hammond. I'm known for my yay, but today we're going to talk, we're going to talk about a really serious subject. We will find some silver lining at the light at the end of the tunnel. Wink, wink. So I'm talking with Dr. Moore-Ede. He is a light doctor, and we're going to talk about are the lights in your house, are they killing you? So when you look at buying a house or the house that you live in, is it safe, or are there things that you need to know, particularly about the lighting, because is the lighting harmful to you? So Dr. Moore-Ede, welcome to the show.
Glad to be with you.
Well, let's start with this intense question. So is the lighting in your house, could it be toxic? Are the lights actually killing you?
Well, they can, yes. They shorten your life if you're using the wrong light. They cause obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Greater risk of all of those, because if the light contains lots of blue, and we'll talk about it, but the LED lights today contain lots of blue, then using them in the evening, when is most of the time you put the lights on after all, that's harmful to you. And we know now a lot about it that we didn't know before, but it's certainly been linked to a lot of diseases and shorter lifespan. So you have to be really careful about the lights you choose and where you choose them and when you use them.
So you talked about LED lights. So, and I mean, I think so many people don't know this. So a lot of times in newer construction, you might have more LED lights. Is that right or not?
Yes. And anytime you're changing a light bulb now and go to the store, you will find that it is actually the only choice you've got is LED lights. The reason is because the old incandescents and the halogens have now been banned. They were banned in August 2023, just this year. The fluorescents are now being banned in many states. So the only thing left is the LEDs. And the reason everything else is banned because the LEDs are much more energy efficient. Now, energy efficiency is good, but the message is that energy efficiency is not so good if it's causing harm to our health and our well-being. And many LED lights, not all, but many LED lights do precisely that.
And how do you know which ones are okay and which ones are the ones that, it's such an intense thing. I just recently found out a friend of mine died of cancer a couple days ago. And just, it's one of those, it's so devastating. So to think that it could increase cancer, diabetes, heart disease, obesity, that's a really intense thing. So what can how do you know, like, if it's a good LED light or a bad?
Well, the issue is what percent of the emission of that LED is blue, right? In other words, the incandescents used to have about 4% blue. That's not too much blue, but the lights today have 15% or more percent blue. And so that's the issue. And when we talk about blue, we're talking about the part of the blue spectrum that's in the sky blue range, because the reason for this, by the way, is the eyes have blue light detectors in them. That tells our clock in our brain whether it's day or night. And it's an automatic process. We don't even aware that it's happening, but it's the age-old signal. And we never had a problem in the old days. Wood fires, candles have virtually no blue light in them. But the energy efficient LEDs of today have a lot of blue in them. So what you need to look for is lights that are labeled 0 blue or less than 2% blue, very low percentage blue. And that's what you need during the evening hours. Now, it's the opposite during the daytime hours when actually you need to see as much blue light as you can. So I always say getting out in the daylight is great for your health every day. Take a walk in the mornings, particularly in the mornings. It can have a huge impact in terms of reducing depression, relieving anxiety, relieving the risk of all sorts of diseases. Because sunlight and daylight, even if it's a cloudy day, is very healthy for you. And indoors, we need to look for lights that give us a lot of blue in the spectrum. But that's something that needs to be asked the manufacturer or ask them to. As I say, there are lights now that provide maximum blue during the day and zero blue at night. And that's really what you need to look for. And more of those are coming onto the market now.
So you want blue during the day, but you want zero blue at night. Is that right?
Yeah, because the brain uses blue as a signal to our bodies and to our cells and to our hormones. That's the key signal that tells us the body whether it's day or night. And during the daytime, we're metabolizing, we're active, we're working. And during the nighttime, the body goes into all sorts of repair processes, including repair processes that prevent cancer. But you cannot tell the body. What the disaster happens is when the body gets told that it's really daytime. Because if you use a bright blue-rich LED during the evening hours, you're really telling your body it's still daytime. So you shut off those processes that protect you against breast cancer. So women who have never seen electric light rarely get breast cancer. For example, who are those women? Well, they include women before electric light was invented. Breast cancer was very rare. They include women who are in parts of the world that don't have electrification yet. There are millions of people, by the way, that don't. Very rare breast cancer. And women who are blind since an early age, don't see light, don't get breast cancer, don't see electric light. So it's really, and it's most intense. The risks are highest in parts of the world where it's highly industrialized, a lot of electric light, Western Europe, North America, places like that in the world, very high rates of breast cancer. In fact, they jumped fourfold as blue-rich lights came into being used. The rate of breast cancer is just one example. And the same is true for prostate cancer, for diabetes and obesity. So we've got a huge medical problem that we've inadvertently, because we've been so focused on climate change and energy conservation. But the far bigger immediate health effect is the effect of the LED lights that are too rich in blue, and which are great during the daytime, but using them in the evening. And that's what you really got to look for, lights that have very low blue in them.
And so is it true that the Department of Energy actually promotes unhealthy lights?
They do, unfortunately. And we're doing a lot of campaigning. And by the way, this science is very well established. There are tens of thousands of scientific papers about the subject. I just did a big consensus study to try to combat what's going on with the Department of Energy, with 250 of the world's leading scientists working on lights and health, the effects of light on our bodies and health. All agree there should be warning labels on these LED lights. But the Department of Energy is pushing hard. Their mandate is, to save as much energy as possible. They failed so far to address the risks of using lights that are too blue to achieve that energy saving.
Wow. It's interesting again, I think so many people are, unaware of that. Well, that it's bad because they are really focused on the energy saving. I mean, I have done numerous shows on let's figure out how to get energy saving in all sorts of different ways, and not realizing that it could be that you're choosing between energy saving and really something that's unhealthy. I mean, that just seems
the
terrible.
Costs are enormous if you think about it. How many cents do you save on your utility bill versus doubling the risk of diabetes and having to take Ozempic, for example, which costs you $600 to $800 a month. So, I mean, those are the sorts of things that go on. The cost in the short term, immediate term, are far greater from using the wrong type of light. And I'm all for energy saving where you can do it, and all for combating climate change, but not at the cost of our own individual health.
Right, exactly. Well, let's talk a little bit about And so you are a leading world expert on the circadian clocks and, of course, light. But you've been a professor at Harvard Medical School, is that right?
That's right. I was a professor at Harvard Medical School for 23 years. During that time, we identified where the biological clock, the circadian clock, was in the human brain, and also how it was synchronized by light. In those early studies, which I did in the 1980s, we thought any light would be was relevant, right? In other words, we thought it was just, light was synchronizing the clock. What we didn't realize until about 20 years ago was there is a special pigment in the eye, a photopigment, which detects blue light around 480 nanometers, which is sky blue light. It's a sky blue light detector, and that was actually sending the signal to the circadian clock. So that's the really interesting thing here is, Mother Nature has selected a very narrow signal. Various of all the different colors of the spectrum don't have nearly as much effect as this sky blue light, which is the key signal. So we need to design our lighting and choose lighting that actually, matches up to human needs. By realizing, how the body actually works here is pretty critical to understand. It's all about the blue you see, and as much of blue as possible during the day, and as little blue as you can get during the evening hours of night.
So I'm curious about, I worked a lot with veterans, and unfortunately there was a time in my life also where I was diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury, and my doctor had said that I needed to get blue light glasses. So can blue light glasses help? Is that, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, most of the blue blocking glasses on the market today do little because they block the wrong blue. It's a sad story, but basically they're blocking much more violet range, royal blue colors, that type of color. So that basically that's the bit that they're blocking. What we really need is glasses that are blocking the sky blue colors. Those glasses tend to look yellow or orange in color. And so you're not going to have a very effective glass unless it looks pretty yellow and orange. But you have to be careful about which blue blocking glasses you actually pick.
So, but there are some that like you said, if they have the really orange, they could possibly be helping.
Yes, there are some blue blocking glasses that do work. They've got to, really block all the light below 500 nanometers is the mark-off place. And there are glasses that do it, but you have to be able to choose which ones are actually effective here.
Okay. Well, and I was going to say, and is that the blue light that's on the computers that you're obviously trying to block? Because that was what I was told, is you're trying to block it for when you're working on a computer a lot or things of that nature. But is that because, again, I didn't realize that the light bulbs were a problem in the house either. Is it the same blue, or is that a different blue as well?
No, there's the same. Yeah, it's still the LED. The screens today we use are LED based, so they're typically are blue-rich screens. Again, that problem's been solved. We can develop and provide screens that have no blue during the evening hours. They look the same as screen, and you want screens that provide blue during the daytime hours. Same story as with the lights, because as I say, it's any type of screen, and just changing the color of them doesn't do it. So, solutions where people just change the color of the screen often doesn't really work terribly effectively. But essentially, those are coming on. Those are being developed too. So that's a promising direction.
Okay. But some of the blue light blocking ones, the ones that are the really orange colors, those could help. Do they help during the day or just at night in your, if you warm around your house?
You want the blue during the day. So you don't, wearing blue blocking glasses during the day makes no sense whatsoever. You actually protect that's actually harmful. You only want to wear the blue blocking glasses in the evening hours.
And what about the blue blocking glasses if you're using a computer?
Well, as I say, you can use them, yes, in the evening hours with a computer as well.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah,
during the
yeah.
day, it's not so bad for even
You
the
want blue
computer
during the day. You
lights.
don't want to use blue blocking during the day, basically.
Okay. Okay, good. It's so interesting because, again, it's definitely something that isn't widely known because the information I got from my doctor when I was diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury was he definitely didn't know this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, it's not that blue is good or bad. It's the time of day you see blue is the key issue, right? I mean, that's the whole story. So people get the idea blue is bad, blue is harmful, blue hazard, all that sort of thing. No, it's the time of day you see it that matters. And,
Okay.
it's really exciting stuff because you talked about, PTSD type of things, brain injury. All of the treatments are getting very exciting what we're seeing. For example, in a psychiatric hospital where people are admitted for depression and brain trauma and other things like that, where all the windows on one side of the building, all the rooms on one side of the building are pointing east and south, and all the rooms on the other side of the building are pointing north and west. The patients admitted, same patients, same doctors, same medications, admitted to the rooms that are facing south and east so they get morning bright daylight in their rooms, get discharged in half the time. Staggering, right? Half the time
Wow.
because of the enormous importance. If you look at people who spend more time outdoors, they live longer. If you look at a population of people who judge how much light you measure in their rooms, how much light is at night. There's an amazing number of people sleep at night with the lights on. It's because of anxiety or they don't feel safe or whatever. But they leave the lights on at night. It's 40% of people in general, 50% of older populations are doing this. Those people get double the amount of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. And they live. And if you take there's a huge study in England recently with 88,000 people studied and traced, and what they found is there were a group of 6-year-olds basically, and they found that they died off 30% faster when people had light. That their life expectancy was 30% less when they were using light during the nighttime hours. Huge effect. So it's when you see light, it's sleeping in the dark at night, getting out in bright daylight, and using electric light judiciously so that you can properly, get the right blue content of the light. It's absolutely critical.
So it sounds like one of the aspects of a home that would be very good is one that has a lot of natural light. So definitely during the
Absolutely.
day, if you could have a house that had natural light and you didn't have to turn on a bunch of lights, which I've seen houses that were really built just like, and you might know a little bit, I've interviewed a lot of experts on solar, and one of the things they talk about is passive solar. It's just the way that it's built, which way it faces, and you can have a lot of passive solar that really helps a house. And if you have really great windows, you can have natural light and you don't ever have to turn a light on during the day. At night, you would need to turn on lights, of course, once the sun goes down. But
yeah, no, that's right. And the really healthy lifestyle was the old days where people spent their time outdoors, much more time outdoors.
yeah,
And where they slept in the dark at night, they didn't have electric lights. And when they did have light, it was candles or wood fires, which have no blue in them. That was far healthier in terms of light. And so basically, we need to get back to that. And it's interesting, if you take people out into the wilderness without any electronics, without any electric light, and have them camp outside for a week, their sleep improves, their health improves, their alertness improves, just by the natural daylight. They're getting daylight all day, darkness at night, and it's fascinating stuff. So there's a huge amount of health, and sunlight is vastly healthy because it contains all the rainbow colors of the spectrum, and each of those rainbow colors, by the way, has its own effect. For example, We've talked about blue so far a lot, but green light reduces pain and migraines, the green wavelengths in light. The red light repairs cells, promotes hair growth. The violet light in the spectrum, in the rainbow color spectrum that makes up white light, kills bacteria and viruses. So there's all sorts of health embedded in the natural light spectrum that unfortunately we don't get the advantage of indoors. And 90% of our time is spent indoors these days.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for this information. I think it's so important. I would love for you to share with people how they can find out more and how to get your book.
Absolutely. My website is thelightdoctor.com, and you can find more information there and various videos and other things and links to the book. The book is called The Light Doctor. Currently, it's on Substack. So if you just search for The Light Doctor on Substack, it's online there and it's accessible to anybody who wants to. And there will be, as I say, I'll keep that posting, which will tell all these new lights that are coming available, the zero blue lights and others, as they become available, and tell people where to get them. One place is the Soraa store, SORAA store. If you search for that on the web, you can, and that will be, and I'll be keeping people in touch from our website. But those are the places to look.
So say it again, Soraa store, S-O...
Yes, SORAA store. And that's a website that is, and if you search for zero blue, that's the way to get to the right pages there. And those are those bulbs are available now with zero blue light you can use in the evening. New versions are coming available, which automatically switch between max blue during the day and zero blue at night. Those are becoming available early next year. So that's one of the places to keep track.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much. And as you know, I'm always looking for the silver lining, the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm going to ask you to lift your voice and say yay with me as we go off the air. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Perfect. 3, 2, 1.
Yay! Yay!
Thank you for all your work and thanks for spreading the word. I think it's so, so valuable.